Alex Karp, a mega-rich fuck who recently went on a 22-point rant on X, which some call Manifesto, but is he really a techno-fascist supervillain? As he said in his post, iPhone and apps seriously limit our perception, but what if you gave an iPhone with installed X app to a Lord of the Rings fan who gets bullied at school and the only joy in his life is D&D sessions with his other loser friends in the basement? You'll get the Palantir Manifesto. Today we'll look through this entire schizo post and I'll show you that beneath Karp's mask there's just a pathetic puberty boy. You're right considering him evil, but it's not the evil of a genius or a serial killer. It's the evil of a disgusting pervert, who sometimes could pose a no lesser threat to society. If you know what to look for, first paragraph already reveals the diagnosis. But beware, our prophet Karp teaches us not to psychologize politics. Yet if a stranger jumps you in a sketchy walkway and screams that you owe him $50, you'd be certain it's a scam or robbery. And when someone like Mr. Karp tells you about some debt, rest assured, it's pure delirium. Everyone has publish button, so nowadays it becomes more and more simple to identify psychosis, especially when it comes to American culture. Empire is always about unification of mental structure, more specifically, the structure of enjoyment. Remember ancient Roman motto, bread and circuses. Modern American enjoyment also has just two main components, emptiness and debt. But if Alex Karp is a founder and the CEO of a rich-ass military soft corp, who robbed him? Where's the transaction that could prove that debt? In reality, that debt is his most vital existential and personal resource. To make it clear, whether you left or right or anything else, the reason why you feel disagreement or even disgust towards Mr. Karp is that you sense his social cultural views are somewhat wicked, his ethical worldview is broken. Manifestos always represent an idea of justice. You won't find it in Karp's post. Some paragraphs might share a topic, but as a whole, it's just a list of random things if you run through it like any other text, without psychoanalytic view. That's because he doesn't seek justice. That's too complicated for him. Instead, there's a completely different plot going on, which you won't see looking at Karp normally, by reading his manifesto like a manifesto. Instead of rambling about ethics and society, he finds an external object, Silicon Valley, which could verify his existence through that debt. It was a random thing just hanging in the air near him. He'd chosen it only because he could reach it easily. But you can swap it with Jews, Masons, Satanists. You don't need its contents. You can't see them anyway, cause in delirious world there's no difference between words and things. How often do you think about Silicon Valley seriously? And that external object is being literally masticated through the absurd-looking demand like you can see in paragraph 17. Alex, why the fuck they would? How the fuck they would? And first of all, who the fuck is that Silicon Valley? Is it in the room with us? Or you just want a random programmer to go to Philadelphia and snatch fentanyl from a homeless guy? Yes, there's no sense. But Karp's world works without it. All of it is obviously delirious. The question is what makes Mr. Karp generate that kind of stuff and even post it in public. The public. It's another hot topic in that post. Introducing another serious character in Karp's world. You. And you are terrific. You bullied little Mr. Karp at school, you cancelled his shady friends on Twitter, you mocked Elon Musk's genius, and now that little boy in tears posting that manifesto. Fuck you. Haters gonna hate. Those who say nothing wrong often say nothing much at all. No one gave a fuck about Karp before, so he gained some ground to post that slap. And he won in this. News call him fascist and supervillain. He couldn't have dreamt of better outcome. All people share some ethical rules and that it's bad to do obviously bad things, for example PDF stuff. But in Karp's world, it's not that obvious. For him these are some complexities of human psyche. He doesn't understand why people being cancelled. The reason of Karp's complete immorality is the fear of that totalitarian moral law figure. It doesn't exist in reality, but Karp's reality is fear. His image of moral law smites him for a known reason. This public is impossible to understand. Why do they cancel everyone? All that debt story is the only way Karp can articulate his emptiness. The feeling of emptiness is following his characters like Silicon Valley or the woke public, but it's impossible for him to find the true origin of that emptiness because he rejects it from inside to the outside. But that's his tragedy. Because of that rejection, external becomes more dangerous for him. Tyrant father beats little Alex for unknown reasons, and that woke public, who criticizes and cancels his friends, came back home drunk at night and pulled out its heavy belt. Hide, little Alex. And he hides. That's the strategy. If the basic moral is too complicated for you, so it looks like a tyrant law, hide your existence. Mr. Karp is indeed a techno, but not a fascist. He's a techno-fetishist. The name of Karp, Laughter Obsession. The style of that manifesto divided into numbered paragraphs. It's straight out of Comic-Con. It's a fucking fanfiction. Hiding is another external phenomenon, but this one is to be placed inside. You could notice he speaks of human as of machine. If you are immoral, you can't call a PDF a bad person. If it's a machine, that it was just a mistake. You know, those who say nothing wrong say nothing at all. Don't judge people by what they do. Judge them by, don't judge me! You know, these fucking keyboards stabbing people on streets. Those filthy calculators pickpocketing. Just machines, just a little mistake. And completely no responsibility. Now the Ouroboros of Alex's delirium bites its tail. I don't know why the law punishes me. I don't know what is wrong with what I'm doing. For the law, everything is wrong. I want to escape the law and do something. Everything is wrong, so I can do everything. Oops, my father punishes me. What's wrong? You don't allow me anything. It's so complicated. That's the time stop born philosophy. Is it even wrong if no one sees? So, is Mr. Karp a bad person? I don't say so, but you probably now are at least disgusted. On one hand, this action could have hallucinatoric nature, just to provoke the punishment. And in that sense he succeeded, he got a title of techno-fascist and supervillain. That could be the case, because the paragraph which caused the public disturbance literally comes out of nowhere with no context. But in delirium there's no such thing as contextual structure of speech. So on the other hand, this action just represents enjoyment of Karp, and he's not the only one like that. Do you know what fetishists like except practicing what they practice? They like to talk about it within a club of people with same interest. He doesn't name drop and defend mask by accident. Best fetish partner. Fuck you, woke pigs. You won't understand. We are not only rich, we are philosophers. Yes, Alex, we should applaud. But Karp's techno-fetish has more cool features than just defense through "don't ask me, I'm not a subject, I'm just a machine, beep beep." Fetish itself provides enough enjoyment. While reducing yourself to a function, you can not only hide, but you can submit more easily. That's another psychotic paradox. He doesn't want public to submit him to moral, because it's too complicated. He basically can't do it. Moral and social rules is not something you simply obey. It's something you share, everyone participates. But there's a more appealing tyrant. Great Daddy America. Karp says how cool it is to destroy America's enemies and feel nothing. No moment of rejoice. Just pause in the algorithm. Beep fucking beep. But he doesn't say anything about that enemies of America. Because he gives no shit. It's not even an ideology. That's not fascism. Here comes the laughter-inspired part of Karp's fetish. Palantir is an instrument that simply serves. But why that fucking ball writes so many paragraphs about the greatness of his owner? The problem with all that greatness is if you need to scream about it, then it's not that obvious, especially to one who screams. This greatness needs the audience, which is already greater in its own worldview. Karp would love to have a master, Great America, but the tyrant of woke public slaps him with father's belt. The only thing left for him is screaming, "My daddy will beat your daddy. My daddy is stronger than yours. I'm not 5 years old, I'm 5.5. That becomes his little pathetic pseudo-religion. Someday my daddy will be back. No, he didn't left me, he's just buying cigarettes at the Costco in far suburbs. But he's damn strong, and you all will pay." Maybe that's why he makes a paragraph 20 about cool popular boys in his class who don't believe in his daddy's watching eye and revenge and comeback. another existential hole in Karp's world. The emptiness reveals itself from every corner. The Palantir machine algorithm Fetish is in danger, so the final component is needed in attempt to hold the delirium together. Mr. Calculator forgets that his place is not in the Nazi doctor office, but at the grocery market under the counter. Here comes the most controversial point of this manifesto, number 21. The funny thing about delirium is that the person who produces it forgets on purpose to include themselves. Let's put Mr. Karp and his Big Daddy America back inside his cultural hierarchy idea. Even if you'll take a clearly political approach, it is obvious that America is in really deep trouble. Yes, there was an illusion of peace, based on the illusion of America's power. The illusion of peace crashed first. Then Republicans decided that they just don't care. America first, but you can't just nullify the responsibility without the powerless collapse. Moldova, Ichkeria, Donbass and Crimea in 2014, and then the full-scale Russia's invasion. USSR didn't disappear, it just changed its design and continued expansion. With America's sometimes ignorant, sometimes purposeful approval, KGBist Putin began his plan, and all the other disgusting smaller forces reasoned their heads. And cancerous tumor growed while America fell into its own illusion of greatness. Now even that illusion is dead. America still has resources and weapons to sell, but it doesn't have any gods. Progressive Americans nowadays are those who declare we hate America, and Trump's gang constantly proves that hate's righteousness. Poor bullied Karp looks for loser friends in face of Germany and Japan, but Germany, Europe and Japan know that there will be no help from the great powerful America, and no obligations were and would be granted. And this view evolves. Europeans aren't disappointed because of America's irresponsibility. They aren't mad because of America's sabotage. They just don't need America. That's the greatest fear of Karp and America's greatness. To hear we will do without you, you're not needed, eat your greatness yourself. They are not supervillains. They made themselves absent in attempt to hide from responsibilities. No adequate country cares about some greatness, but there are specific simple criteria representing your status. Japan provides financial help to Ukraine on a regular basis. European Union is obviously playing the biggest part and so on. What about Great America, which was called a prime enemy in decades of Soviet and Russian propaganda? Trump's economical plan on 2027 doesn't even include such category of expenses. America is so great it is the only land on the map, but it's not involved because it can't comprehend. Like Karp. There are no loser friends, so Karp and America are looking for an external object of all problems. Now the whole world bullies America. Everything is danger. Let's shit at everyone's doorstep. Silicon Valley is one story, but Karp has a constant self-fucking mechanism to feed on for his great daddy. A culture-evaluating sorting shit of a scheme to cover another bully public incomprehensible law tyrant. And that self-fucking knot works, cause it allows Karp thinking of the ultimate AI mega weapon. While his nuclear age has ended, Putin buys dual-use components through shell companies to extend his nuclear weaponry, and Iran uses cheap-ass strike drones. Another technical greatness, but all that high-tech shit are just expensive toys if you have no political will. Take a guess now, what is the most destructive culture, according to Karp's idea? If not American, but primarily it is self-destructive, like its national hero, Alex Karp. There's no better or worse culture, they are all full of shit but somehow work. But there's a serious difference between culture, weapon and a coping mechanism. Soviet or Russian culture is a weapon of propagation, fully synthetic design made up from pieces stolen from enslaved cultures, with implanted imperative, propagate in any way, dominate those who fascinate and kneels, and destroy those who's different. Empire is always about the weapon of unification and propagation. Is America an empire? It definitely was, and has lots of similarities. But Karp's America is a tragedy of delirium. He needs to peer out of his frying cocoon, making another hole, to look for external object cause of all problems, an easy for understanding one. Moral public punishes me for incomprehensible reasons, but my prosthetic tyrant I'm submitting myself to has its very specific reasons. He strikes only those who sinned against him, that destructive cultures, and the law is written in the retina of my eyes. The Palantir is in good hands. You cannot stop psychologizing politics, as with any other sphere of human world. As Karp doesn't understand moral and culture, he doesn't understand democracy. And he is not the only one. Most of Americans still think that there's a proxy war in Europe. As Churchill said,
"That is the result of His Majesty's government."
And he was sure that you can't abolish democracy even at war, because it is itself the basic principle and the people's fundamental social and moral value. That's their very reason to fight for. People don't fight for governments, people fight for their way of living and their values. Karp haven't seen war, but he surrendered the whole plane of ethics and culture at the face of his trauma of his emptiness, like many Americans did. Even if his daddy is fake, Karp is really the son of his daddy. This manifesto is not a PR plan, not a political act, it's a scream for help, or just agony of collapse. You are welcome to enter a session with me, Mr. Karp. Wouldn't it be better than dumping all your insights on public? Thanks everyone who's still watching. As you can see, the most paradoxical thing is that while all that intentions and constructions are working at the same time in one person's mind, he himself as a subject remains a pathetic worm who doesn't understand basics, which are shared by everyone, either Christian, Muslim, Judean, Buddhist, Satanist, or atheist societies. But behind this miserable fuck, there are countless Gordian knots entangling into big-ass delirious substance, just to cover the hole in his existence. That's why delirium looks delirious.